Hi, I'm Torte de Lini. In a recent patch, the developers have released a first iteration of their new ranked mode, where players are put in a more competitive Deadlock experience for a small limited period of time, where you'll need to play at least 7 matches before your rank will appear. However, that rank will not appear until after the week of ranked games, and I am assuming within that rank period, they're adjusting the matchmaking systems as more data comes in. There are 11 ranks to reach, more than Valorant, but less than Counter-Strike and Dota 2. Within those ranks are sub-ranks, basically 1 to 6, that help show how close you are to ranking up, so to speak. So let's compare the two and focus on how Deadlock really builds off of Dota 2's lessons to make a better ranked experience. By the way, if you like my Deadlock videos or know me from Dota 2, please trick the algorithm by telling me your rank is obscurus in Deadlock and how that isn't your fault. Together we can make the algorithm think we're in some kind of witchy, Scientology-esque army cult with leaders and generals. And as always, like and subscribe because they're watching every move we make on this site, and I love having my behavior monitored every moment my finger touches the mouse and keyboard, trackpad, Xbox controller, CDI remote, belly button, whatever. Now in Dota 2, the rank system has gone through a variety of iterations, but the most current one relies on you playing significantly more matches than the 7 needed in Deadlock, and it builds up your rank confidence. A rank confidence essentially investigates your skill level and rank through a career of matches. After 30%, your rank will be calibrated to a certain level, and the more you play, the more confidence the system is in determining your skills. If you stop playing, the rank confidence goes down, and if it falls below a certain threshold, you will again no longer have a public rank. Here's the kicker though. In Dota 2, like in most other games, it's fairly binary to rank up. Either you win and gain around plus 25 MMR, or you lose and you lose MMR. While your performance does have some effect on your first initial matches, eventually it just becomes pretty straightforward to rank up, win games. What's more is that Dota 2 is littered with a lot of challenges that you need to overcome, such as boosted accounts, old players returning to the game and their rank is still somehow retained, smurfs of much better players, double downs and win trading. This one is pretty especially problematic at the highest level, no obligated rank reset. In terms of experience, a lot of Dota 2 players have always felt that matchmaking tries to have you hit a 50% win rate. So if you're on a winning streak, it felt like the algorithm will put you in the strangest and most unwinnable games ever created. Either poor teammates, extremely skillful enemies, and sometimes both to force a guaranteed loss, making you feel like you had to lose due to winning so much before. While the developers have said that that's not the reality, it sometimes feels like rank is kind of more of a gamble than an actual testament of your skills. So what can happen is that you'll rank up and maybe even feel like you're improving before realizing that after 6 months of ranked, you're pretty much still at around the same rank as you were before. They all predicate on the idea that ranked is about an instant gratification of earning points, rank up, or a waste of time and a loss of points, of which you might even feel like you owe the system the need to keep playing so you can at least recuperate your losses. So when it comes to Deadlock, their philosophy, at least with what they wrote, seems to be approaching the ranked experience differently. By now you've probably already started checking out ranked mode in Deadlock and probably got a few games in as well. In many ways, Deadlock retains some of the elements of Dota 2, and if you don't play 7 matches after a weekly rank period, then you lose your public rank display, just like rank confidence in Dota 2. Similarly, you are still at that rank, and when you do decide to start playing ranked again, the matchmaking algorithm will start matching you with players at that rank. You just don't have a public rank display till you play 7 more matches. I think the most important part of Deadlock's ranked mode is them evaluating ranked players' performances a week after the matches have been played. To quote, "We will run an algorithm that calculates everyone's performance together at the same time based on the games you've played, how the opponents you played against ended up faring in subsequent games, etc. As such, medals will only be updated once per week to allow for analysis of a wide set of match data together at once for a more accurate review of your skill, rather than a fixed numerical addition subtraction on a per game basis." End quote. Now how this can be interpreted is that there still is a plus or minus points based system, but for now you won't be privy to how much each match gives you until after the system can accurately evaluate the skill level of your opponents. A poor opponent playing well to defeat you doesn't necessarily mean that they should gain a lot of MMR or you should lose a lot of MMR in comparison. By looking at the scope of someone's performance over time, the system can dole out a more gradient style of MMR gains and losses according to everyone's performance in context of their week of matches. What's nice is that this may also help with combating smurfs and cheaters by giving the system time to evaluate multiple matches where the cheater goes undetected and then remove those matches from your overall evaluated score at the end of the week. We know in Dota 2 that your initial ranked match wins and losses are much more influential to your public rank display as the game tries to figure out what skill level you should be at. I do think Deadlock will follow suit, but in addition to the summation of your overall personal performance rather than just the outcome of matches specifically. That said, the ambiguity of how they're evaluating performance may be concerning. If it's based on damage, then heroes who are more skewed towards output might be earning ranks much faster than those who don't, and vice versa. If you're playing someone like, let's say, Paradox, who provides protection and utility value, then it would suck if you were earning less MMR due to your hero's general performance and expectations. In any case, Deadlock Ranked is also exclusively solo queue, just like in Dota 2. However, in Dota 2, solo queue can be quite a slog, especially if you're a support player, because while you can be very influential in your match, the game heavily relies on your cores to actually be able to close the game out. This makes solo queue much more skewed towards playing heroes and roles that have a stronger impact on the match, rather than playing one that supports teammates of which you have no idea if they're good or need a lot of hand-holding. That's the reality of Dota 2. The circumstances of your match outcome is heavily dependent on what role you play, who you draft, and how it synergizes with your teammates and against enemies. For Deadlock, a lot of that stuff is predetermined. You set preferences on your heroes, and you don't have a say on who you're laning with or where your lane will be. The benefits of that are threefold. 1. The time you spend in a match is reduced. Usually the pick draft system in Dota 2 can take up to 7-9 minutes just to get going. 2. With your heroes and lanes predetermined, people are not blaming others for their choices, though that won't stop anyone who hates on Haze or 7 players, and I completely understand. And number 3, lastly, this shifts the emphasis of how you overcome your opponents, not on your draft, but rather Deadlock emphasizes the mantra that any lineup can win against any lineup with the right items and timing. This makes itemization and macro strategy all the more emphasized in a game where people continue to view it as just a hero shooter. Since laning is pre-decided, there's no arguing about playing a hero in the wrong lane or something to that effect. Deadlock strips away player choices that may cause disagreement and instead emphasizes your actual gameplay and macro strategy. Even if you do have a bad lane, in recent patches the developers have shifted the early game more towards expanded farming alternatives like boxes and early neutral camp spawning to alleviate matchup roadblocks. Speaking of player choices being stripped, server selection is also predetermined. So in Dota 2 you would often find your matches with Russians on a US despite there being a Russia server, as well as Peruvians on US East despite there being a South American server, and sometimes Chinese only speakers on US West. In Deadlock, the servers are pre-selected for you, typically putting in a server where you would be able to speak the language, though it makes me wonder about those who live in, let's say, Central America and might be bilingual, speaking both English and Spanish. In any case, it just keeps the servers homogenized in language-based regions that really put you at ease that you are typically playing with players who can speak English, Russian, Spanish, Klingon, whatever. This was a common complaint for Dota 2 players, like the number of Chinese players who play on SEA or Russian on EU West. I just hope the Middle East also receives proper server support, as I know their ping to Russia or EU West may not always be ideal for them. More importantly though, you cannot play ranked if you have any sort of restrictions on your account. Whether you've been communications banned by being an ass in game, or you've been excessively reporting people, pausing unnecessarily, or abandoning your matches. So simply put, if you're an ass, you cannot ruin ranked games for other people, and I think that's a good initial blanket to stamp out bad behavior and push for more cohesive ranked game experiences. In Dota 2, you can have a somewhat low behavior score, but still be able to play ranked, even if it's at the detriment of your team. What's more, I don't think reports even work at the highest ranks, which makes high MMR ranked experience in Dota 2 all the more unpleasant. So in essence, while Deadlock's ranked system has only just begun, it does come from years of Dota 2 lessons. For Deadlock, I can see the perception of shifting ranked mode away from being about achievement with whatever rank you reach, and more about the progression you make within your games in terms of improvement and performance, rather than an all or nothing outcome determining your skill level and ultimately effectiveness in a match. While I personally do not play ranked in Dota 2, I will of course try to see how I feel playing ranked in Deadlock. I do believe that Deadlock's rank still has a plus or minus MMR at its initial core, but it could be much more flexible, adjustable, and in view of your overall performance across the week than the binary plus or minus 25 that we see in Dota 2. That said, this is still very early and the system will likely change over time. But that's it for today's short video this time because I've been working pretty much 14 to 16 hours with streaming and these YouTube videos. Please support the channel and I'll catch you all next time.